I didn't know if you knew that.
Oh no, I can tell. Nothing gets by me on that stuff.
Yeah, we had to make sure that we had the utmost quality.
I've got a carbon fiber fetish, so
Damn.
I recognize it. Yeah.
So you broke your neck.
14 places. C6, C7.
How the hell? That sounds like an old guy like made up like bar story.
Yeah, right. And
Broke my neck
standing.
in 14 places, kid. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
How did you do that?
I was at training camp of the Broncos in '96, and
That's a professional football team.
It is.
That's the NFL.
It's like where John Elway played.
Holy shit! 1996. That was a star-studded team in 1996. Shannon Sharp, right?
It was the team that actually won the Super Bowl the following year.
Terrell Davis.
We had Terrell Davis. In fact, I got a great story about Terrell Davis if you know who he is.
Yeah, I know who Terrell Davis is.
I was on the Niners in
Yeah.
I was a rookie on the Niners as an undrafted free agent in 95. And we were playing
he knocked
against...
the ever-living shit out of the guy in preseason, right? And that's
no,
how they
but this is
right?
You got to hear the story. It's hilarious. So we were playing in Japan on at the Tokyo Dome, and we were playing Denver. And the special teams coach said, "Hey, Hairston, you're on kickoff return. Never done kickoff return in my life." He's like, "What do I do?" So he says, "You line up here and count over 5 guys, and you're going to run 20 yards back and block the guy out to the side, and we're going to come up underneath you." So count over 5 guys. It's Terrell Davis, but no one knows Terrell Davis is at the time. And so I sprint down, turn around. Terrell Davis puts a move on me. I barely clip him, and we just run the ball up inside of him. But I really missed my block. Elway goes, we don't move the ball. We punt. Elway goes down and scores again. Back on kickoff return. This time I'm like, all right, now I'm prepared and now I'm doing. So I count over the same guys. Terrell Davis, run down, completely miss him this time. The returner never sees him coming, and Terrell Davis just cleans him.
Yeah,
it's on ESPN. It's if you watch a Terrell Davis,
that's how he got discovered.
It was my block that I missed.
It's because of you.
Yeah, I missed. I'm the one that created Terrell Davis.
You invented Terrell Davis.
I invented Terrell Davis. That's
and
my
his
claim
Hall
to
of Fame career, probably, right? Is he in the Hall of Fame? He should be.
He is in the Hall of Fame. If you watch his story,
yeah,
that's how it starts. Is me missing my block.
Oh my god!
If it wasn't for me, Terrell Davis probably would have never.
Does he know that?
He does.
Andrew, see if we can get Terrell Davis on the phone.
Bring him on.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
We got to verify this story. That's amazing. Yeah.
I'm the unathletic white guy that misses the block.
Holy shit! I was wondering who that was.
That was all me.
All these years, I was wondering who that was.
That's my fame in the NFL. And
so where'd you,
shortly after that, the next year at the Broncos, I was coming in. I got a great read on a play and shot a gap, down block, and I shot the gap. It really wasn't my assignment, but I came through early.
Here's the play.
Is this?
Oh, you got it?
I'm hoping this is it.
Yeah.
If it's in the Tokyo Dome, that's it.
Yeah,
watch this.
Like
this is the play. So look at for 65. Yep, see that hit?
Oh,
that's me missing my block. Where am I?
Yeah,
I should be coming down right there behind it. That's me coming around right there.
Because Terrell Davis,
65. Boom, that's me missing my block coming over. That is hilarious.
Terrell Davis is like a 7th round draft pick.
He was 6th that year.
Yeah, and
boom.
Nobody knows who
Look
the hell
how far
he is.
behind I was in my block too. Like,
yeah,
he went by me so fast.
You're not anywhere near him. Yeah.
Look, that's so bad. Well, and the funny thing was,
life's unfair sometimes.
So when I go to the Broncos the next summer, right? So they picked up my contract. I don't think that was me on my play. I go to the Broncos first day, right? They put us in an auditorium. Shanahan gets up to talk, and he says, "Anyone can make this football team. Let me show you how." Plays that clip. I'm sitting there with the Broncos hat. I pull it down over my head, and I slink down in my chair. I'm like, God, I hope no one knows that's me missing that block. Freaking hilarious.
That's amazing. You know, there's a term that we've just discovered on this podcast, and it's called HNL. Are you aware of this?
I think I'm going to find out whether I want to.
And it stands for Ho Nother Level.
Ho Nother Level.
What has that done for you when you played in the NFL?
Yeah.
You got your feet wet in the NFL, and you saw that other people were on a whole nother level, right?
Seriously, it's amazing.
It kind of puts you in your place in a way.
It does. It does. It's very humbling at times. And I was kind of a late developer in football. I mean, I got kind of a funny football story. As I went out for Little League football in Orange County, it's where I grew up. In Orange County football, if you're familiar with sports down there, but it's hyper competitive. And as an 8-year-old, I got cut.
Holy shit.
9-year-old, I got cut again. 10-year-old, I got cut.
What was the reason?
I was terrible.
You just sucked?
I sucked. I was like underdeveloped. I was skinny. I was unathletic, and I couldn't make a football team for the first 3 years. And it was really sucked because
I had a hard time making them because I was fat. I was really big.
Yeah.
I was too slow.
And the worst part was for me is I had an older brother, 2 years older, who was captain,
No.
starting quarterback, linebacker, every little league football team. My dad played college football. And all I wanted to do was play football. I couldn't even make a team. And just think about that. Like, you have kids.
Yeah.
Can you imagine them going out for a sport and getting cut? Like,
Especially
smashing a kid's dreams at 8?
3 years in
Is
a
that
row.
is that even legal today? You'd be like thrown
Yeah.
in jail. They'd be protesting and marching in the streets if you cut somebody's kid off a football team today.
Did that hurt, or did you not really understand what's going on?
Oh, no, I was in freaking tears.
Yeah.
I mean, tears. And talk about destroying kids' confidence and telling somebody you can't accomplish something. But you know what, though? It's why I played in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, I sat there and told myself, one day, watch, I'm going to get there. And it motivated me. And it's kind of been the antithesis and story of my life. I mean, nothing's come easy for me. All of it's been a lot of hard work. But it taught me at a young age, so I couldn't make the football teams. My dad played college linebacker. So I sat in the stands with him and listened to him talk about how to play the position for 3 years. And then as I got into high school, my body started to develop. I mean, I talk about knowing the fundamentals of a position. My dad was an amazing linebacker in college. And that really led to me having the opportunity to play in the NFL. Obviously, you have to have the speed and the height,
Right.
which I did. But it taught me about fundamentals in life and fundamentals in what you want to accomplish. And if you focus on those day-to-day things and become a student of something, it can lead to great things. It's not always the easiest way, and some people can bypass it through just pure athletic ability, as you know. But I didn't have that fortunate.
I actually think that people
Genetic gifts, yeah.
I think people deal with losing better than we give them credit for. You hear stories like that all the
Sure.
time. And I think that a lot of people don't have what it takes to actually win, but the part of the reason why they don't always have what it takes to win is because they never lost before.
True.
They don't realize how bad they suck at something, and I
Yep.
think that's a really important thing. I did professional wrestling for 5 years, and when I saw professional wrestling, we think, oh, WWE, guys coming off the top rope, and you think it's like all kind of fun and games,
Yeah.
right? But it's the athletes that are involved in that sport and the guys that make money in that sport, it's few and far between. So these guys are savages. These guys
I
are
bet.
extremely athletic. And when I got
They
into
have to
that,
be.
I was okay at certain things.
Yeah.
But I wasn't great. I wasn't on that next level, right?
Yeah.
And it taught me, hey, you know what? You're gonna have to figure out something different. Like if you want to stand out, you're gonna have to figure out something different. So what was for you playing football? What was kind of the next move? You broke your neck, and
It's a dark time. It was, my whole focus was, I'm going to be a great football player. And, my near-term focus was high school, and then it developed, and I was a highly ranked recruit coming out of Orange County when I was leaving high school. Stanford came in early, offered me a scholarship, and I didn't understand how college athletics worked. I figured, I got a scholarship from Stanford. Declined to meet with any other school. I was going to Stanford. The day before National Signing Day, they called me and said, hey, by the way, we couldn't get you into school, which meant they signed another kid they had ranked above me, which at that point I was like, wait a minute. I thought we had a deal, right?
Yeah.
You gave me your word. Like, this is how this works. And that's how I ended up at Davis. I'd gone back and talked to some other schools that wanted to offer me a scholarship. They had already committed those scholarships to other kids. I was going to go to junior college, and I was like, man, I'm going to get an education and use football to get a good education. And went up to Davis, and at the time it was a Division II non-scholarship school. I went up to visit just to check it out and fell in love with the players and the coaching philosophy.
did you have hopes and dreams
location.
of going to the NFL from Davis? Because that's
No.
not very common.
No, at that point I didn't. I mean, I was just trying to use football to get a great education, and I liked the guys there, and it's a lot of guys in kind of in my situation where they're overlooked, chip on the shoulder, love the game of football, so they're going to non-scholarship Division II school.
Right.
And I when I went on campus, got this overwhelming gut feeling like this was where I'm supposed to go. When I came home and I told parents and coaches and my buddies that also played football, like, I'm going to Davis. They're like, why in the hell would you go there?
Coach Brand, was he there?
It was Coach Foster was the head coach then, and Coach Biggs.
Strength coach? Didn't have one, maybe?
No, we kind of did. But we worked out at the gym on the outside of campus.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times those Division II schools, sometimes they don't have one, or at least.
Oh, the gym was a joke.
at
Yeah.
that time. Yeah.
Yeah. And we just had it, but because of like the mentality of the guys there, we had this group, my freshman group, and the guys, we ended up living in a house together. I mean, we lived, ate, trained, and breathed football, and then going to school. And Lifting was just our culture. We used to lift from 10 at night till midnight every night.
Holy shit.
I know.
What,
and we loved it.
What did you weigh back then? Or what do you weigh now?
So right now I'm weighing about, I range between 210 and 215. I'm approaching hunting season. So I got a big sheep hunt coming up in August. So my cardio is ramping. My diet's getting stricter. So I'm leaning out right now.
What'd you weigh then when you played football?
So I entered Davis at 220 and left at 235, 240 by the time I was done.
What's been the change for you recently? Because even just looking at some different videos, even when you were doing the testing with University of Davis, you look a lot leaner than you did in those videos, and you looked lean then. What's changed?
Sports science, and really I didn't understand. Thought I understand diet until I got involved with Judd over at Judd Van Sickle at the UC Davis Sports Lab. Not just on training, but how diet can impact my performance on these big long expeditions on big endurance athletic events. And he's shifted my thinking on how I eat down to really low carbs, which I know you've written about.
Yeah.
And high fat, and more important than even protein for what we're doing. And forcing your body to adapt to burn fat and being used to burning fat. And when those fat reserves run out, to transition over to burning your body's fat without bonking. And I didn't realize, I bonked on trips before, and it sucks. I'm sure, I don't know if you have in endurance athletics, but when you bonk, like literally, you can hardly even walk. And what happens and what causes that. And I hadn't realized it was the carbs.
In short, you can store a lot more fuel from fat. I mean, it's like 6 or 8 times, like it's some ridiculous amount more.
Yep.
And then also you can run off your own stored body fat.
Exactly.
Your body can also create ketones in the absence of carbohydrates.
Yep.
And so for that reason, it ends up being a more efficient source of fuel. And then explain what you're doing on some of these hunts, because maybe some of our listeners don't know, what goes into it. Are you like sprinting, or is it, jogging, or is it walking, or what?
It is it's like an ultra marathon on steroids, because so where we're going to really remote places. Let's say the Yukon or Alaska. We're flown in on one of those tiny bush planes where it's just you and the pilot.
Terrifying.
Oh, it's so cool though. It's like the ultimate human test. Is how I put it. Right. If you're a hunter, or just being a hunter as a human being.
I'd be scared just being on the plane.
Yeah, you get used to it. It's actually an amazing way to travel. And they got those big Tundra tires, and we can land on little gravel bars. We'll get flown in and dropped off. A lot of those trips you have to have a professional guide legally. And so we get dropped off, and we're self-supported for up to 2 weeks. And we may get dropped off at a certain point, and a lot of the trips we don't even know where we're going to end up. So we're out, on a sheep hunt. We're looking for sheep, and we're looking for the biggest, oldest sheep on the mountain, because that's what we want to hunt. We want to harvest animals at the end of their life, and that's
you don't want to be shooting babies.
Well, it's just the ultimate test, right?
Right.
The oldest sheep's the smartest sheep. He's been around, and it's truly how to test yourself. And being self-supported, you got to carry all your own food. You got to carry your sleeping bags, clothes, everything's got to go on your back. And so you've got to be really smart about how you pack, the food you bring, and, we'll walk 10, 12, 14 hours a day on some of these events. I've walked 24 hours.
And it's not like walking on the street.
None of it's flat. None of it's steady.
Right.
A lot of it, very rarely is it just flat. I mean, most of it's up, down, broken rocks, cliffs.
Is there usually even like a path?
Some places no. Sometimes you'll find a game trail, but there's no like hiking trails where we go. I mean, the places we're going now are pretty unique. It's probably less inhabited by man today than even it was several hundred years ago when there's Inuits, because the Inuits aren't there now. So we're putting boots on the ground in places and seeing animals that probably have never seen human beings. Country that hasn't had people travel through it in decades.
Right. And
it is amazing to go through that country and experience it.
So you got to be in shape to do this. So what's your training look like for this kind of stuff?
My it's year round for me. It's part of my lifestyle. Always has been, being an athlete. And then for hunting, for me, it's given me another focus to train. And this lifestyle keeps me super fit in a different way. So obviously training for football is lifting and bulk and heavy, and I've learned, especially through sports science, every pound I take off my body is like taking a pound out of my pack.
Right.
Endurance athletics, you look at professional cycling. I mean, they're trying to shave an ounce off a bike.
Right.
Because it makes a difference.
And for them, weighing less is like really, really important. For their race.
Exactly. And so I've taken a really scientific approach on the products we make. It's why I started Kuiu. It's why its tagline, ultralight equipment or ultralight hunting, is using advancements in material design, construction to reduce weight, because I knew it would transfer into performance in the mountains.
Well, there's a lot that goes into that too, because if it's raining, you don't want whatever you're wearing to absorb all that moisture. And then if it's hot and you're sweating, you wouldn't want that either. It might make you, right? It might potentially add to the load or just be uncomfortable.
Well, and being wet can kill you up there.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, you have to have performance apparel in those conditions.
You need special everything, special socks, special shoes.
You do.
Special things to get you through the forest and all this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like what you created with Slingshot and some of the products you've made. I mean, it's for me, getting into this industry and creating Sitka, the first brand I created, and then now Kuiu, is really solving the problems I couldn't find. And building stuff that I wanted that I just no one was making. Right. And that's just continues every day. I mean, we're always evaluating, always looking for new technology and designs. That we always say reduce weight and increase performance.
Do you lift?
I do lift. Do you? Do you even lift, bro?
I sort of, yeah.
Sorry.
From time to time.
Yeah.
I do lift. How does lifting kind of equate, and how does that help? Because it sounds like it's almost more endurance based.
It is endurance based, but I just enjoy lifting.
Right.
It's been a part of my lifestyle since high school and before high school, and I just enjoy pounding steel.
Right.
I unfortunately, as I get older, I have a tendency to if I do overtrain or do go heavy now, I've got to really watch it.
Right.
Tendinitis and joint pain, that type of stuff. But I still lift. I mix it in between the cardio training, and obviously heavy cardio training reduces your strength.
What's your best bench? Let's just get right to it.
I did 405 in college.
And what about your squat?
585.
There we go. Those are nice. Great numbers. I always tell people strength is never a weakness. Strength is a huge part of fitness.
It is.
But strength is also just a huge part of anything. If somebody going into a surgery, somebody going into a hunt, somebody going into a fight, I mean, strength is always going to be a major factor.
I agree.
And you wouldn't want to train strength to your detriment either. You don't want to train strength so much, and this goes for powerlifting as well. You don't want to train strength so much that you are not paying attention to your nutrition or not paying attention to your overall health, your overall fitness, because your overall fitness is never a weakness either.
Sure.
When that's increased, and then you can recover from your workouts faster and you can get in and out of things better. And we've seen people come in here with like a bodybuilding background or even a CrossFit background, or they just come from another sport, and sometimes they kick our ass because their work capacity is so high, and because they can, do one set after another without hardly any rest. What type of lifting do you do for these hunts? Is it anything specific, or is it more specific to the conditioning?
It's just I still do the same type of workouts. Bench press, incline press, flies, legs, shoulders that I've done in the past. I have a tendency to do higher reps now, and not going as heavy, and staying away from sets of 3 or 4 reps, really heavy lifts. But my goal with lifting is overall strength, size, and bulk. I don't want to get. It's hard because you're fighting endurance is going to want to strip you down, right? And I don't want to get completely completely skinny. So just for probably my own ego and the way I like to look. So it's a lot of it, but also we're carrying. Sometimes 100-pound loads, and we got to move that stuff around.
Right.
And so, and strength comes to play, like you were talking about. And I think if you don't strength train and you just endurance train for what we're doing, at times it's going to shock your system.
Yeah.
And as you've probably experienced, when you're just strength training, you do a cardio event, it whacks you. And I think that's where the balance is important. And what I try to talk to our customers about getting ready for a trip is don't just cardio. You're also going to be moving weight. You're going to be doing physical things.
You got to move the animal too once you kill it, right?
It's all healthy. Plus, what I've learned from sports science is how much I was overtraining on cardio and using strength training in between so that I'm not overtraining on cardio.
Were you just like running every day or something? Or
I was doing cardio 6 days a week, and not that I was always doing a 2 or 3 hour run, but I was, I would do a big run on Saturday or Sunday, but I would set up that run with a long cardio event the day before. Heavy intervals, the wrong kind of intervals during the week with, 30-minute speed run, an hour long type run on the treadmill, and only taking a day off.
The interesting thing about these things is they're extremely negative. Like,
unbelievable.
It's amazing how negative it is, because it can start to creep into your sleep, but
Does.
it can also harm your health.
Yep.
Just as much, or maybe even almost worse than not doing anything in some cases.
It's true.
So you do have to be
Or you
careful.
get hurt.
Yeah, you do have to be careful on how far and there's always people who are like, fuck it, man, I'm just gonna
keep training,
I like
push it.
I like to red line and I like to go crazy, but I know firsthand experience it's not the way to go.
Yeah, so Judd, I think it's been 12 weeks now, he shifted my whole view on training and the type of cardio training I'm doing. And he now has me doing 2 interval days a week and 1 long cardio event on the weekends.
And if somebody told you that like 8 years ago or something, you'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
He told me that 12 weeks ago, and I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
And seriously, I was like, that's it? You go, that scares me.
Right.
It did. It scared me. He's all, trust the science on it. And I have. I feel better today. I've leaned out more. He also transitioned my diet. And my big events are amazing.
Right.
Interval training's gone through the roof. And my
probably
body feels great.
Probably such a huge change from football.
It is.
Like football,
different mindset.
It's like they just got the 2-a-days and they're trying to kill you, and you got the pads on. It's 120 degrees.
It's true,
right?
No, it's so true.
They just try to absolutely annihilate you,
and it's so backwards in thinking. In fact, I'm on the UC Davis athletic board, and I'm involved with the football program, and they're working on building a new facility. I'm trying to get sports science to move into it with a football program to start working with their strength and conditioning coach to understand the science behind training these guys,
right?
Because it's just blown my mind.
I'll go over there and tell these guys what's up.
You should.
I will.
I'll go take you over there. I'd love to.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm tight with Coach Hawkins and the athletic director Kevin Blue. They're doing a amazing job revitalizing that program to where it once was. So, love to introduce you.
Yeah, they
can learn a lot.
That would be awesome. So, how did you you mentioned you started another business. Did you ever set out to be an entrepreneur in the first place?
Always want. My dad's always owned my dad's a physical therapist. He's always owned his own practice.
Okay.
And
so you guys seeing that is
He always, he had a saying when I was young that I love. He's like, Jason, one of the things that I've learned in my life is sign the front of the checks, not the back. And that always kind of stuck with me. And then one day I realized, like,
what are you
I want to sign the front of the checks.
Yeah.
Like, I was doing commercial real estate, and I'm like, I want to be the guys leasing the building. I don't want to be a broker working. Like, I want to do that. Like, I want to have the opportunity to create something. I want the opportunity to have my own thing, right? It's always been in my mindset. And I, growing up as a kid, I'd meet my family, my parents' friends, and they'd have some entrepreneurs, guys that own their own. I'm like, I want to own my own business someday. When football ended, I had no idea what it would be, and I got into commercial real estate and thought, well, if I just make money, I'll be happy. We have nice things.
Yeah.
Did that, miserable. And then I had a client that I became friends with, kind of a good mentor and entrepreneur type of guy. And he's like, Jason, and I talked about wanting to own my own business. He's like, best advice I can give you is find something you love and create a business out of that. And I'm like, I love hunting. Well, how do I create a business out of that? Like, I couldn't figure it out. And then in 2004, sitting on top of a mountain, cold, wet, miserable, thinking about how shitty our gear was.
Right.
And I went to a hunting retailer, and I was buying most of my stuff from outdoor like places like REI or mountaineering shops, and thought, why can't we have stuff like that for hunting? Like, I can't be the only one.
Right.
But I was the only one to actually go do it.
Right.
Created the whole category, and with a brand called Sitka that we started in 2005 with a business partner that was with me on that trip, that we kind of came up with the idea of brainstorming together on it. And
you have any previous business experience other than the real estate?
No. I shouldn't say that. I bought 2 franchises with some money I made in real estate, and that kind of taught me the basics. And I bought those for an investment, which was sold after 2 years.
You learned the good and the bad, and
just learned about running books and
the
basic stuff, business license and insurance, and what margins were, and
how important it is to do things the right way from the beginning.
That's what's nice about a franchise. They kind of teach you the basics, teach you the fundamentals, right? Sold those, used that money to launch into Sitka, create Sitka, and had no apparel experience. And came up with the idea. I was almost like embarrassed or scared to tell anybody, like, I'm going to do this. And like, I finally told my wife, and she's like, you should. You'd be really good at that.
Yeah.
And she knew I love like style and design, and
well, that's huge reinforcement. That's the person you care about most,
right?
Telling you, hey, yeah, That's a good idea.
Well, especially when you go back and go, okay, I did it. Now I've got to leverage the house. I need to take all the equity out of our house and buy $225,000 worth of product.
Hey, about that idea that you said was good.
Yeah.
Here's what needs to happen.
We're going to find out how good you think it is today.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no experience and but like the second I came up with that idea, I knew it was it. Like, that's what I'm going to do the rest of my life. And realize what this guy that told me, find something you love to do and do that, because you'll really maximize who you are as a person, as a business person, an entrepreneur. If you do something you love, if you do it for money, you'll kind of get there. But if you do it for love, you'll master it.
Yeah.
And you'll become the best, and you'll become something that nobody can compete with if you do something you truly love.
How do you know when something's a good idea?
I feel it. It's all gut.
You just feel it head to toe.
I can see it. Tell people, I said, I can see it, touch it, feel it, taste it, smell it.
Right.
If it's the right thing.
Right.
And I know it like that.
And it's not but it's not an actual physical thing. It's just a vision.
It's a overwhelming instinct.
Right.
And I've learned to follow it, and it hasn't let me down yet.
Yeah, I've always told people, like, if you can't stop thinking about it, a lot of times it's a good idea too. Just something that it's in your head. You keep thinking about it. Like, man, I need to how do I figure it out? I need to tell this person, that person. Yep. You keep thinking about it nonstop.
It's true, right? And it keeps you up at night out of excitement. You're like, this is it. I can do this. This is going to be big, right? Yeah. And I've done some things that haven't been as big or successful as I maybe anticipated. But I'll tell you what, I've been way more right than I've ever been wrong. And thank you. And, I'm working. I like to mentor, give back to young kids, right, or young entrepreneurs that reach out to me and say, hey, I've got this idea. And, one of the things I always tell them is follow your gut. Because I had so many people go, Jason, you're nuts. You can do what? Apparel? You think you're fashion? I mean, come on. You can't just go start a business in apparel without any experience. And I went and came up with the idea and then pitched it to some people in the industry. Like, no one's going to pay that much for hunting clothing. I mean, look at the prices in Cabela's and all these hunting retail shops. And you're going to be 2 or 3 times more expensive never worked. But
when something's better, it's better though, right?
I just believed it.
Yeah.
And just followed that belief. And believed it so strongly that I didn't listen to anybody else.
Was there times where self-doubt creeped in?
I guess questioning whether I'm losing my mind.
Right.
Like, how many concussions did I get? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe that's something to do with why I think this is such a good idea when everyone else is telling me it's such a bad idea. But you know what? I've not very much. Where I trust myself, especially now. I think when you first start a business and you start to have some success, you wonder whether you're lucky or good.
Right.
Right. And I remember when we had success with Sitka, you go, okay, well, is I at the right place, the right time with the right product, or am I good at this thing? And when we sold Sitka to Gore-Tex in 2009, and I turned around and had this idea for Kuiu because, again, solving problems that I had faced with Sitka with retailers and the product quality I couldn't take to market and the markups, and thinking this idea of going direct to the consumer. If we're going to do all the work to educate them and market to them and talk to them, why would we send them to the store to get it and pay twice what they should pay, or make a lesser product because of price? And when I was writing the business plan for Kuiu, I told myself, well, I'm going to find out whether I'm good or whether I was lucky the first time. And whether my instincts were right, and totally underestimated what we would do the second go around with Kuiu. It's turned out to be what I thought was going to be a small little lifestyle business, hometown type of thing. Sell a couple $1 million of revenue a year, go hunting.
Right.
Life would be easy, have a few employees. Has turned out to be the opposite. I mean, 7 years later, we're a global brand. I've got offices in Europe. We have, we're over 50 employees. We're the fastest growing, largest brand in our market segment, and all of it's direct online. Most of it's word of mouth marketing, and that's kind of what you've experienced with your business. It's amazing Absolutely. What you could do today if you make the best product in the world. Talk to your early adopters and let them tell their friends about it.
What has separated the company out from some of the other companies? I know you talked a little bit about the technology, but
yeah.
What does that kind of look like in comparison to what's out there now?
One of the things that really frustrated me with Sitka was I would find fabrics and materials, designs, ideas, and develop them, look at the costs, talk to the retailer about what it would have to sell for, and the retailer's like, we're not going to carry anything that expensive, right? So I'm like, God, I'm walking away from really making the best stuff for my customers because the retailer's telling me you can't sell something that expensive. That's just lazy by the retailer, right?
Right.
Customers want the best stuff. I want the best stuff, but I can't produce the best stuff in the retail model. And I also couldn't control growth, the sell-through, the customer experience. It was just, there's so much missing. There's so much lack of value added in today's retail market with the big box. Specialty shops could do it, but there wasn't enough of them anymore because they've all been put out of business to really build a brand through specialty shops today. So I had to do direct, I had to make a direct business model really so I could produce the best stuff in the world with no limitations. And then I thought, if the customer's doing all their work like he is today, why are we paying retail markup? Why does the customer have to pay for retail markup? We used to pay for it because they were the experts. They scoured the market before the internet and found the cool stuff, and they'd sell it to the customers. They earned it. Hanging on a hanger in a big store, is that really earning it? And then like the big boxes are like, well, what are you doing to drive downstream demand in our stores for your product? I'm like, isn't that your job?
Yeah.
Like, the customer's doing your work. I'm doing your work. What are you getting the 100% markup for? I'm producing a $100 jacket, sell to you for $200, and you're making $200 on the jacket. But I'm doing the work and the customer's doing the work. It's broken. Like it just kept saying, this is so broken. And now we're seeing it. Pretty cool. I didn't quite anticipate that the retail model collapse would be happening.
Yeah, you didn't invent the internet, but it came along at a good time, right?
Right. And then timing, with the .com businesses kind of starting off and then not working. And then, during the economy collapse, be able to come out with a model at the bottom of it. I mean, we're at the bottom of the market when I launched this thing. And be able to offer better product, better price when price was kind of important, but they didn't want to give up quality. And one of the things that people questioned with Kuiu was, as you've experienced with that direct consumer model, is like, how do you get your customers? Like, where are they going to come from? How are they going to find out about you? Like, how do you do that? How do you turn on a website and have success? How are people going to trust to buy clothes online with a brand that no one can say? Like, what's Kuiu? What's Kuiu? We heard it all day long. Like, this is the worst idea ever, Jason. I'm like, oh no, it's awesome. Believe me.
Trust me, it's going to be great.
And so I, being fanatical about gear and product, I started a blog called Building Kuiu. And when I was back in my garage, because I started Sitka from my garage, back in the same garage, and I did a post a week. This is before social media marketing was even a term.
Right.
We didn't have Instagram. Facebook wasn't used for business.
YouTube?
You didn't do anything with YouTube at the time. Video wasn't a thing. It was back in 2010. I just started every week. This is what I'm doing. I'm back in the garage. I'm overseas. I'm investigating fabrics, researching fabrics. I shared everything. And
was that through like a blog or something?
Through a blog.
Okay.
And I answered every single question for like 18, 19 months before we launched. But it was really cool. I thought there's a restaurant in Sacramento called The Kitchen. Have you ever been to The Kitchen?
Fucking amazing. Yeah.
Right?
Love The Kitchen.
So I left Sitka in June of 2009.
And became a chef?
No. I'm not a great chef. But I went to The Kitchen for anniversary, which is July 18th. Took my wife there. And I was so amazed at how they presented their product. They talk about every little ingredient. And what it created, as you've experienced, is this huge anticipation for how great that meal is going to be. And then it was, right? Yeah. And I thought about that transparency. I thought, if I'm working with Toray out of Japan and Petard's Leathers, like, why can't I do that with Kuiu? Like, share everything. I'm working with the best ingredients and like go down to all the smallest details. I think that'd be really cool. Let's try it. And that's what I started blogging about. And like, let's talk about retail model. Let's talk about how it's broken. Let's talk about the markup. Let's talk about everything that no one talks about.
That makes a ton of sense on so many different levels. Because if you were to try to just bring things in-house and to sew things and to figure out all those things in the very beginning, it would suck. It would probably be too hard to really get it off the ground.
Oh, it would be. Without
an understanding of the fabrics. And if you go into a company that's been doing it for 20 years or however long they've been doing it for, that's going to give you a huge advantage off the start.
Sure. Well, and just knowing what the reality is of the marketplace, right? So knowing what most companies are buying, they're buying fabrics from Taiwan. They buy them for price. They're inexpensive. We call them sourced Asian fabrics. They're junk, in my opinion. And then they come up with some fancy name. It's this proprietary fabric created by X brand, and this is a fancy name, and it does this, right? When all intents and purposes, it's a stretch woven fabric that costs $3, and they buy it from some Chinese mill. There's no testing. There's no quality standards, and that's what people are buying. And I thought, I'm buying Japanese technical fabrics from Tory. They're amazing. Let's tell that story. Let's go down to the how they make their yarn that's patented with no elastic. Let's share those details. And just because I was excited about it, and what it did was attract all the early adopters, all the guys that geek out on the small details.
Yeah, well, now it changes the game, because if somebody says, man, I don't know, I can't spend $100 on pants, but if the pants are the same every time you wear them, after you've worn them 10 times, and they perform the same, and they're very comfortable, they look better, they feel better,
they last forever,
they're more aesthetically pleasing, everything. Having it last is a huge deal. Some of these things, even from some big companies, sometimes even like a Nike or Under Armour, you wear something like twice and you're like,
I know what they're buying.
The thing's all fucked up.
It's
all messed up after you washed it and worn it once. You're like,
and I know why, because I know where they're buying their fabrics. And
those bastards.
Yeah, it's price.
Yeah.
It's all price, and the retailer today is forcing it worse than ever. I just got back from traveling overseas with my suppliers, and you talk to them, and I'm like, so what do you guys see in the marketplace? They're like, price. It's so frustrating. They want less quality materials. They want less quality. They want less expensive sewing. They want less. And he says, as they talk about, the crazy thing is, though, their volumes aren't going up. Even though we're reducing their costing on less quality materials and less quality sewing, they're thinking it's going to drive price, but at the end of the day, it's not. Or volume, but it's not. And the consumer is the one that pays the price on that. Because it's not getting less expensive at the store. Their margins are only getting better, or it's getting a little bit less expensive, or it's getting discounted at the end.
Right. How do you lower the barrier of entry into hunting then? If the stuff is of quality and you can't really compromise the price too much, how do you get more people into hunting if the cost ends up being kind of high?
Well, we don't do retail markup. So I'm selling it at wholesale to our customers. That's how we did it. That was a big part of our success.
Yeah, you being a hunter, that must have been really important for you.
Well, I just felt like it was right. Being a consumer.
Right.
And looking at the lack of value the retailers are adding today, and felt like, hey, like I said, if we're going to do the work to market, our customers do the work to find out about it, let's just sell it to them at wholesale. Right?
Right.
And wouldn't that be cool? Like, no one's done that before. Let's give the retail market back to our customers. It's the right thing to do. Let's make the best product in the world and sell it at wholesale. It's the same margin I'd make if I was selling to a retailer.
Right.
For me, now the customer buys it without a 100% markup. That'd be pretty cool. Would it work? And it was like when we finally announced that towards the end of right before we're going to launch, it was really what tipped the business over. People just started going nuts, and having blogged about everything about the business for 18 months before we launched, and then like 3 months before, I said, hey, what if we do this, you guys? What if we sold at wholesale prices to you instead of the retailer, laid out the pricing structure, what it looked like? And that was when just got this landslide of comments and people wanting to purchase the brand, people threatening not to tell people because there's no way that I'd have enough inventory, which I didn't, to the point where I had to carve up shopping days based on blog subscriptions because so many people subscribed to the blog to purchase. We sold out everything right away for the first year, and then we're basically out of stock for almost 5 years, just trying to catch up to demand.
You said 18 months of talking about it. That must have been exciting, but it must have been brutal. Like, most people don't have that kind of patience.
I used to answer questions till 2 a.m. My wife would look at me and go, "You're nuts." I'm like, I have to. It's like, I want to build this brand one customer at a time. And if someone takes the time to ask a question, it'd be rude not to answer it. I mean, I appreciate this. This is amazing, right? And that's the mentality this brand has. Let's do what's best for the customer every day. Best product, best pricing. Let's answer all the questions. Let's treat them like we want.
And what questions were you answering without a product being
questions about fabric, questions about fit, questions about, or comments. Hey, what do you think about doing a pocket like this? Or have you thought about, making a down jacket versus synthetic? I would ask questions too. Hey guys, I'm going to build an installation piece. You guys want down or synthetic? We want synthetic. These are the reasons why. I think it's a good idea.
Right.
Thinking about putting my pockets here because of the pack. What do you guys think? That's a great idea. Can we get a chest pocket? Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Let's put a chest pocket in. That's a good idea. And really did a lot of crowdsourcing interaction. And people felt like they owned were part of building Kuiu.
That's
and
huge.
They were.
That's huge. How much has luck been part of this? Sometimes it's easy to have
huge.
It's easy to have you got like haters and stuff, right? Like Jason, he's just lucky. He hit the nail on
hear it all the time
at the right time and all these things. But luck is part of it, right?
It's part of it. As I said, like nothing for me has come easy. I mean, we launched Sitka with no experience. I'd say I was at the right place at the right time with the right product. I think, looking at the hunting market, it was, even today, it's totally underserviced for the size of it, for brand and for performance products. We were the first in. People really gravitated to the fact there was a brand that had a meaning of like adventure and mountain and tough and rugged. And, but it was a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights. How many times we almost went out of business, not making payroll, but trying to get inventory and product. But it does require some luck and timing. And then, looking at Kuiu, I look back now, it's like I had a crystal ball of the future retail.
Right.
I didn't. A lot of that's like what we talked about, like gut instinct. Like this, I feel like this is the right way to go to market, direct, no retail markup, better products. I think this is going to work. And then the rest is like timing, which is, you'd argue, is luck, right? And, both brands meeting the right people at the right time. Like, man, how am I going to I got a shipment coming. I don't have the money for it. Like, how am I going to get this money? And then you meet somebody or you reach out to somebody or something happens and kind of all the stars have to align, as I say, to make these things all be successful. Because I think, when you look at the success of business, that 97% don't work as startups, they're the ones that don't either have the fortitude to grind through the hard times or the stars don't quite align for them and something happens.
I think it's important to tell people what your vision is and what you're trying to do, because you don't really know who you're talking to sometimes.
Yep.
If you tell other family members and you tell friends, then even that word of mouth starts to...
It does.
Who knows who's talking to who? Who knows who wants to invest? Who knows who wants to just support? Somebody might even say, hey, man, I like the idea. I just want to come work for you.
Hear it all.
Fuck it.
Absolutely.
I want to just work for you.
We've had that.
Right.
People are like, I'll quit my job tomorrow. I'll come volunteer to learn what you're doing.
Whatever the hell you want me to do.
Yeah, that's true. No, and there was luck. I mean, it was in 2015, I was working on getting SBA financing. We were profitable, small business administration, guarantees the loans. Met with my bank August before the end of the year. They said you're going to qualify for max amount of SBA financing. Gave them the financials. 45 days later, underwriter's like, you don't have accounts receivable. I'm like, I know, isn't it great? I don't sell to retail, right? I get paid before I ship my product. They're like, well, we can't finance you because we can't check that box. And I'd planned on this financing, right? So I went to the next bank. At one point, I had a 90% government-backed guarantee. I couldn't get a bank to lend me money because we didn't have accounts receivable. And I was like desperate. And the company was doing great, but we were backlogged in inventory. And it's like these moments, right? And I just started calling everybody I knew, like, do you know anyone that owns a bank? And my dad's like, I think this cowboy I know has something to do with the bank, right? Gilbert Aguirre, just an awesome guy, old cowboy, salt of the earth. I call him, I go, Gil, do you know anybody that owns a bank? He goes, I own a bank. I'm like, I need an SBA loan. I qualify, give him the information. He's like, I'll get you a loan in 30 days.
Some of those cowboys and farmers are unassuming. They have shitloads of money sometimes.
Right?
No one would ever
He goes,
guess.
I go, you own a bank? I thought you just did cows. And he's like, no, I own a bank. And he got me the loan, right? It's like those instances in business. And I think it's, I tell young entrepreneurs, like, you're going to have to grind and you're going to have to not give up. And you're going to be sitting there going, I don't think this is like, I don't know how we're going to do this. You just can't give up.
You have to,
you've been there.
Yeah. You have to flip over every single rock, right? You
and just be relentless.
No stone unturned.
Yeah. And I think that's where, the passion part really is important. If you're going to be crazy enough to start your own business, is like, you better be passionate about it, because it's the passion that'll get you through those times you're going, I have no idea how we're going to make payroll tomorrow.
Your energy won't run out for it if you're excited about it.
You won't give up. Versus if you're doing it for the money, you're like, maybe it's not worth it.
You got something to add, Andrew?
Yeah, I was just curious because you said you were blogging for 18 months.
Yep.
How were you able to stay patient throughout that whole process?
Well, I knew I couldn't launch
until
a certain period of time. There was a lot of work to do on the supply chain for me, development of products.
Gotcha.
And I had the time. And it was actually my brother that came up with the idea. He's like, Jason, I'm a little bit worried that you're going to disappear for 2 years, after selling Sitka, and then pop back up with a new brand. He's like, why don't you blog? I'm like, what's a blog? How do I set up a blog? He's a tech guy. He's like, I can set up a blog for you on WordPress. And he's
Isn't it funny? Like, see, that just happened in passing, right?
Totally. And I'm like,
that's why it's important to talk
well,
about
what am I going to blog about? And he's like, well, blog about you. I'm like, nah, that's too narcissist for me. But it might be kind of cool to do like, I was thinking one day I was actually on a run. A lot of my good ideas come as training. And I was
Exercising,
like, what about building a brand, like building Kuiu? That might be kind of cool. Maybe guys would find that interesting. And I started building Kuiu. And the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah. And then everyone agreed with you selling online was a great idea, right?
Just like, really, you would do this and give us the retail market back and not take advantage of us? Like,
Yeah.
it was truly like the tipping point for the startup.
That's
in
cool.
such a massive way. And I've watched, other consumer direct brands get created today.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to others creating them. I'm like, are you blogging yet? They're
Yeah.
like, well, why would we tell everybody our secrets before we go to market? I'm like, you should, because it's super powerful and you can attract customers and then you can get trust. This is all about trust.
Yeah.
Transparency is trust.
I was actually shocked when I researched you a few months back and found a lot of stuff on the internet, because you want to know why? I don't normally see that.
Yeah.
I'm like, how, and sometimes it really boggles my mind, because I only know one way to build something. The way that I did it, that's the only way that I understand, right?
Yep.
But when I see sometimes these entrepreneurs who are real successful and they haven't done any of that, I'm like, oh my God, they're missing out on such a huge piece.
Yep, right. I agree. It's and we interact with our customers on a daily basis. I mean, it's as I tell our team, and we've had great success, but it's this brand's for the customers.
The coolest thing I saw was you do live launches.
We do.
That was actually really cool, and I haven't seen other people do stuff like that before.
Got it from watching Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
like you talk about influence, right? I'm like, how cool is that? A keynote thing, and I was like, how could we ever do that? And then I think Pat introduced us to Your Brand Live, which is really a platform.
But that's so smart and intuitive in a lot of ways, because Steve Jobs did it in this way so everybody always thinks that everything that you need to do needs to be this big fucking deal. It needs to be this huge production.
Big production, yep.
And it's like, well, you're not Steve Jobs. I'm not Steve Jobs, right? We can't figure out some of the stuff that he did later in his life.
Nope.
But you could take a concept and say, I got a camera. I can go live for free on anything, and people can watch.
Absolutely.
Live stream it.
Yeah, we got this platform. This is before they had Facebook Live and all these other live programs. Your Brand Live was a platform created really for in-store training for brands. And Pat's like, hey, Your Brand Live, do you think we could do anything with it? I'm like, can we do live product launches? They're like, no one's ever done it before. We can try it. So
sounds absurd that no one else has thought of it, right?
So I was like, because I was kept thinking, God, if anytime I can talk to a customer and answer their questions about a new product, like we sell it to them 100% of the time. Like, what if we could do it to thousands of people, answer questions,
that makes a lot of sense.
Then they know all their answers, so they can go sell it for us.
That makes a lot of sense. We go to trade shows, and our product is sometimes very hard to understand. It's very hard to understand what it's going to feel like, what it's going to look like, how it's going to fit, and what it's going to do for you. So at trade shows, it's huge. When we put somebody in a slingshot, they're never like, "Oh, it sucks." They always enjoy it, and maybe they don't purchase it, but maybe they even go tell somebody else who's got a bum shoulder. They go tell somebody else that they think that it would work well for.
Well, I got in one today, your product today for the first time. It's amazingly simple and amazingly effective, and I love products like that. Like,
right.
It's you get in it, you use it, and it's like, wow, that works amazing.
It took like 5 seconds to put it on. It took a lot of pain away from your shoulder. You banged out some push-ups.
Yeah, I can't bench right now, but I can bench with a slingshot.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal one from you when I walk out here or buy one.
Yeah, we got a whole bag of stuff for you
I can't wait to use
your
it.
way out, and to help your wife with her knee, because she busted it up doing some CrossFit, right?
Tore patella.
She didn't listen to you. You told her not a good idea, right?
Just repetitive, hardcore training. It's a recipe for disaster over time, as you know.
Have you guys train together sometimes, or that doesn't work well?
Different types of workout, and I'm in there a lot longer than she is,
right?
Especially with my cardio work and specific type of stuff I'm doing. But yeah, we a lot of times go to the gym together. We just have to drive separate.
Yeah. How has your wife been involved? It's like sometimes people's wives are like directly involved and they actually like work for the business. But even if she's not, quote unquote, working for the company, she's still a huge part of it.
No, she's been involved with both businesses.
Oh, cool.
Kirsten and I are dead opposites. So, I mean, she's a numbers person, analytical person. So she's always kept track of the books.
This is a really weird story, Casey.
And has always been the one that walks in my office and goes, Jason, we don't have enough money to make payroll tomorrow. I'm like, all right, I'll figure it out. And
that's when you sell drugs.
No, I just sell more product.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't follow our model.
Yeah. No, but it's been a great partnership. I mean, I came out to her with the idea of Sitka, and she's like, "Go do it." And then I'm like, "Okay." So when we launched Sitka, I went to a trade show. We got one order our first year for $10,000, which was $5,000 cost. I'd order $225,000 worth of product to hit the minimums to fill that $5,000 order, and I'm like, I got to fill. It's 200. I got to order $225,000 worth of product.
The math isn't working out.
I need to leverage. I need to take all the equity out of the house to place that order. Are you cool with that? And she's like, "You got an order?" I'm like, "Yeah." "How big is it?" I'm like, "Oh, it's 10,000. It's actually 5, but it was 10,000 that they're going to pay us." And she's like, "Do it. It'll work." And then the cool thing was, thankfully, well, the funniest part was we order this product. The truck shows up. We have a garage warehouse and an office all in my little garage. And I thought, yeah, we'll just maybe put up shelves and product. I had no experience, right? So this truck shows up with a container on the back, right? I'm like, cool, our product's here. Run out there. I'm super excited. And guy opens the back and all these, and I had to go rent a U-Haul and a storage space to put it in. I had no idea. It was that lack of experience. And we had our neighbors going, "You guys are moving?" I'm like, "No, I started this business." Anyways.
Your wife just looking at you weird, like,
yeah.
the fuck?
She's like, "You're going to sell all that? You better."
Yeah.
And then it launched, and the cool thing was the retailer, the single catalog retailer, Sinead's out of Bozeman, that ordered the $5,000 for the product. 3 days later, called back and said, "We'll take it all." I mean, they couldn't believe the response to it.
I love Bozeman, Montana. Probably like one of the simplest places I've ever been.
Isn't it cool?
There'll be like a sign and it says airport, and the airport's right there. Like when you're in Los Angeles, you're following that fucking sign. You're like, "Where's it? I got to turn here for the airport, and I got to get off on this exit," and you're trying to figure it out.
And then you get to the airport, and it takes like 10 minutes to get on the plane.
Yeah, it takes
super
forever.
Simple. Yeah, it's
in Montana. A lot of people they park right out in front of the. I saw people park and leave their truck on.
Yeah,
just leave it on,
and
they go in and they like grab whoever they're there to pick up.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you be able to do that?
I was like, "This is awesome."
This is Bozeman, Montana, boy.
Yeah, where the hell?
Yeah, California, you'd be arrested.
Yeah. I'm like, where the hell am I?
That's a cool place.
Yeah, we have so many similarities. I just want to run through it.
Yeah, I know we do. It's been great to meet you, by the way.
I just want to run through it for a second because it is kind of crazy in some way. So your wife and her family is from Dixon.
Yeah, they founded the town. Our kids are 7th generation.
Oh my God!
Like her grandparents.
Did they name it?
They must have.
Yeah.
They came over with the Donner Party. Do you know the Donner Party?
Yeah.
Like they're the ones that ate people to survive.
Right, and
my wife hates it when I tell people that. She's gonna be so mad at me right now. Sorry, curse.
Yeah, she comes from a lineage of people that eat other people.
Cannibals.
Right.
Yeah, you're a survivor though. I'm proud of you.
I saw that when we went to
better than starving to death.
We went to like Tahoe, I think, like that. I saw there's
the monument and the sign. Yeah,
right.
That's part of her family.
That's pretty crazy. Well, we don't have a similarity in eating other people, but my wife is from Davis, California.
Oh, really?
And so, she grew up here, or grew up in Davis her whole life, and was a swimmer and an athlete and stuff. And
that's where your kids get it from.
Yeah, exactly. That's where they get anything that's positive. It's all
mine too.
It's all from her. But she also works for the company. She also is the person to say, "Hey, let's pump the brakes for a second here," because you always need that person.
Yeah, you do.
You need the person that's, trying to throw a bomb every play, and you need a person that's saying, "Hey, maybe we should just run it up the middle here and there," right?
100%.
Yeah, that's a huge
100%.
factor. And then we started our business from our garage as well.
The best ones.
And Casey Short, who's sitting right here, he was seeing these packages come in, and he was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And you saw some of the boxes out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it just looks like drugs. These giant white boxes that come in
coming
like
from overseas in those weird containers.
Yeah, like what the hell? What the hell is it? And I was, he was asking us about it and stuff like that. And he already had a logistics business where he was doing shipping and receiving and all that. And we started selling and selling and selling. We started selling 5 products a day and 10 products a day.
And you're all direct too, right?
Yeah.
Like how'd you what started that? Why not go sell it to powerlifting shops?
Yeah, well, powerlifting is there's just not a lot of us. There's probably a lot less powerlifters than there are even hunters, and so
there's a lot of hunters.
Yeah,
very few sheep hunters. Probably like what you're talking about. Like we
Right.
market to sheep hunting, even though
right,
there's a lot of people that exercise.
right.
Very few powerlifters though, but they're the geeks, right? They're the ones that live it and breathe it.
Yeah, they want the technology. They want the best They want the best stuff.
Yep.
I guess, I mean, the main thing for me was, I tore my pec. I got injured, and I was trying to figure out a way. How can I still lift? How can I still do the things that I love? And so I created a product that was for me, that worked really well for me. And
sounds familiar.
The second that I made it, I was like, oh my God, I have to share this with other people. I need to. It wasn't really, and I know everybody always says it's not about money, and then you're looking at every like millionaire who says he's it's easy for you to say it's not about money because you got millions of dollars.
Ignore my jet, my yacht,
It's not about the
my
money.
Beach house, and my Ferrari,
and you're making it rain, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it truly wasn't about that, especially from the beginning, because I had no idea what the hell it was going to do. I was just like, other people need to know about this. I know so many ex-football players and lifters in the gym that I've met over the years. They'll say, yeah, I used to, Mark, I used to be able to lift heavy weights like that, but I can't do it anymore. My shoulder.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, this happened, that happened. And I'm like, man, if they could only say they could still do it, they'd be so much happier because they can still enjoy doing the things that they love.
I miss doing heavy bench.
Yeah.
I've
had people coming up to me crying. They're like, man, this means so much to me that I'm emotional over it. You created a product that allows me to do what I love to do.
I mean, if my strength gets to where I'm doing 275 workouts, every single time my shoulder lights up.
Yeah.
With 10.
Not anymore.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, not anymore with throwing on the slingshot. How do you manage, the work-life balance, and also how do you manage the relationship with the wifey, because it does work for the company?
It's hard. I mean, it has its trying moments, with Kirsten and I, and you see each other, you're dealing with stressful stuff at business, and then you're at home and you're dealing with young family and kids. And at the time when you're doing a startup, like we were, economy's at the bottom. You don't know if things are going to work. I mean, it's tough. I mean, thank God for her. And
do you guys have to communicate sometimes and try to figure out almost like how to communicate with each other? Because I think as a guy, we're so fucking stupid. Like,
totally stupid.
Yeah, when we're talking to our wife,
I'm the worst.
When I'm talking to Andy, I sometimes just think I just need to get certain things done, so I just need to say
totally.
And I actually lose sight of the fact that she's a woman, right?
Yep.
Women process things differently, and they need to
way
be
different. I don't even know if we do process.
Yeah, I don't think we do. We don't know what's going on. But I'll say stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, I got to rethink it. I'm like, okay, I need to say that in a different way.
Yeah.
Or at a different time. Wine has actually helped a lot because she likes wine. So we throw some wine in there.
It's easier
and then
to
I can
talk.
say almost whatever I want.
It depends if it's good or not, right?
Yeah.
No, it takes a lot of. It's had its trying times. It really has, and created a lot of stress. And
right.
But we've really grown together, and she's been my rock to go chase my dreams. And she's the coolest thing about Kirsten. She's never doubted my ability to pull this thing off, and she's always had my back, even when it looks like we don't know how we're going to get there, right? And our relationship today is better than it's ever been because of our ability to communicate, my ability to learn to communicate. I mean, I was a guy that it didn't matter what I felt. I just grind through it. I'm tough, football player, linebacker mentality, but that doesn't work in a relationship. And it took me a long time to figure that out.
You can't tackle your wife that way.
No, it's just not fair. It's not a relationship if you don't talk about things you need and
You're right.
You just hold everything in. So, she's an amazing person. She's one not afraid to speak her mind, where I was one afraid to speak her mind. It's taken some balance, like how she talks to me, how I talk to her, and then the work-life balance thing is tough, especially with our business that's growing so fast, and I've got to travel overseas for supply chain,
slide this way
and I have to really watch my calendar and force myself not to get wrapped up so much in the business that I'm not at home, or I'm not seeing my kids, and then hunting season, I'm going on trips, test products, shoot videos, photos. It takes like a conscious effort to pull myself back because again, I love what I do.
Do you have to consciously, have time away from your phone and stuff like that
I do.
too?
So I get home at night, phone goes in the drawer now. I mean, I have to do it that way.
Specific time, cutoff time.
When I get home.
Just when you get home.
Yeah, I may turn it on once the kids are in bed or I'm in bed. My computer the same way because I used to work, come home and continue to work. And during a startup, you don't really have a choice. You have other people that can fill in the gaps. Yeah. And when you're doing overseas manufacturers, their daytime is our nighttime. So I used to come home from work, and then now I was working with the suppliers overseas. So I was working 18 hours a day.
Shit.
But now it's consciously coming home, computer in the drawer, or leaving my bag and my phone in the drawer until I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I'll follow up on some emails at the end of the night. But it takes a conscious effort.
Right.
It's hard.
How are you able to manage going on these hunts where you're gone for 2 weeks?
A great team.
Yeah.
You know, I've was fortunate to get a great COO, Melissa Wolf, from day one. She was the second person in to believe what I believed. And the funny thing is, she came from a company called Gymboree, which is kids clothing.
Yeah.
And she's like the biggest animal lover in the world. And Gymboree's got their big operations center in Dixon, and she lived 4 houses down. I was like, hey, can I pick your brain a little bit about this omni-channel, similar type of direct-to-consumer thing that Gymboree did? And then as I was using her as a consultant, bouncing ideas off of it, Bain Capital came in and took Gymboree from public to private about 6 months or 4 months before I was going to launch Kuiu. And I was like, hey, Melissa, what are you doing for the rest of your life? Like, you can cash in your stock. Bain Capital, you're not going to want to work for them. Come join me to build Kuiu. And fortunately for me, she's like, yeah, I don't want to work for Bain. I've heard bad things about them, and they're going to change the culture. And so I was able to get her with her big business experience, and she created the online business for Gymboree from 0 to like 200 million in revenue.
Wow.
So she came on early, and
not a bad person to have on your side.
Wonderful. And then, you know, it's been amazing. I've got, you know, Pat's who's here with us today. I've been able to bring in just so many amazing people who are so passionate about the business, and it's like we have the coolest team, and it's like it's a family that we have.
That's great.
And you know, people love to come to work. People like Pat, I have to tell him, dude, you need to go home.
Yeah.
You've been here since 5.
I find myself saying that to these guys.
Get out of here. He's like, oh, no, I just love, you know, I'm showing up on Saturday. I'm like, you guys, take some time. Like, we just love it, right? And they're competitive, and they know we're creating something super special for this business and this business model, and everyone can feel it. Like, the energy, the culture, the vibe at Kuiu is like, we're doing something really cool.
That's great.
And it's the biggest compliment I can get is my team and how much they do for me and how much they support me and how much they believe what I believe.
Right.
Which is everything.
Yeah, I got people sometimes will come in and they look sick or they have a cold or something. I'm just like, go home. Like there's, you know, we are trying to change the world, but it doesn't need to happen on this day.
Sure.
Go the fuck home.
I know. We don't want to get sick either.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we appreciate it. But no, it's true. And no, it's you know, building a company is as much art as it is, probably more so than science, and it's so much about people and the people you have to help you. And as you start from the garage, and it's yourself that does everything, and then learning to delegate and pass down and trust others. You know, it's a process that's hard at times.
Yeah, handing things off to other people is not always easy.
That's not how I do it, but actually, it's maybe a better way to do it.
Oh yeah, that's something I share with people all the time is have an understanding that they can do a better job.
Yes, and give them the opportunity. I mean, and now my philosophy on management is different. I mean, I am a guy that's like, I will put you in position to be successful. I will share with you my vision, but I'm going to let you make all the decisions to get there. I'm not going to micromanage. We don't do reviews. You want to know how you're doing, come see me. If you don't hear from me, it's because you're doing good.
Right.
And I just believe autonomy, being able to build what they believe is the right thing to build for the company, is way better than I could try to sit in their shoes and say, this is the way you should do it, even though I don't do it every day. It's like, you're there.
Right.
We're a customer first brand. We're remarkable at everything we do. You do your thing that way. Right. And I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Well, and they love it.
It won't be a long time before they're better than you
are. They are better.
Because they are doing it every day.
Exactly. And it motivates them, right? It's their own thing. Like they're part of the success. They're not told how to be successful. They're building it within the whole organization. We've had people come in from outside with big corporate resumes. I mean, we had a guy come in from HP. He had a Sigma 6 training manuals, qualification, certification. I fired him 3 days later. It's like, get out the door. We don't run this company that way. We don't throw people in the bus. We don't tell people what they're doing wrong. We don't care about org charts. We just care about doing what's best for the customer.
Right.
And it's fun that way. And the guys that are in everyone's tons of homegrown talent. I don't give a crap if you have a degree, you don't have a degree. You're either good or you're not good. You're either competitive or you're not. And it's let us do amazing things and build a really big company with very few.
What was the first product?
I did a layering system, so skin to shell system, 6-piece. And then I had this idea for a carbon fiber framed backpack, which we invented the first one. I've got patents on it. No one had taken carbon fiber.
Serious. It sounds like it can't be blown up by a grenade.
Well, carbon fiber is an amazing material.
Yeah.
It's really light. It's really, and if you engineer it correctly, you can have, really stiffness in certain directions, flex a certain way. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to figure out with it too. And fortunately for me, kind of we talk about meeting the right people at the right times. A good friend of my dad's worked for Lockheed Martin, developed carbon fiber nose cones for nuclear missiles, Tomahawk cruise missiles, components and fins out of carbon fiber, and carbon fiber masts for America's Cup racing boats. He invented those. So once we sold Sitka, I went over to the shop, and it's actually in Minden, Nevada, and brought backpacks. And I'm like, I have this idea. Could carbon fiber do this? And he's like, totally could. So it's actually be a great application. So he helped me create the first kind of working prototypes. And then, over the last 7 years, we've really fine-tuned carbon fiber and using our pack line. It's allowed us to create the lightest weight, heavy load carrying pack in the world.
That's awesome.
The frame weighs 11 ounces. It lets us have a modular pack system. It's the biggest innovation in backpacks since I don't know if you know backpacks, but they had big metal external frame backpacks back in the day, and then they invented their internal frame. This is the biggest back in the 70s. This is the biggest invention in backpacks since the 70s.
Wow. What are you most proud of?
That. I mean, that's as far as a product.
Yeah.
That's my most proud product.
Yeah.
Because it was total blue sky idea, something that was patentable, that nobody had done before. Apparel's fun, and we can make better jacket with better fabrics, maybe better seam lines, or adjust a sleeve or a pocket a certain way. But truly to invent something that never been created before is that will always be, kind of my prized project, at least to this point.
When you created that first line, how did you know? Just how did you know it was like the right thing? Because it probably took some time to create all those 6 pieces, right?
Well, it did. I mean, having the experience from Sitka, I learned a lot, and I knew about Torii Japanese fabrics. I just couldn't use them, and so I already visually I knew what I wanted as far as the product, the look, the feel, and then to work with a designer at a factory to put it kind of together. I knew it was spot on when we got it done, and I knew it would be great. And the big thing with us was weight and performance, and the Japanese company I buy fabrics from, Torii, has a patent on their yarn on how it stretches and recovers, and they don't have elastic in it. It's amazing. Like most stretch fabrics have to have elastic.
Right.
Up to 10, 12, 15, 20%. Elastic's heavy. It holds moisture and has no performance value other than fabric stretches out, pulls it back to its original form. Just by making a layering system out of Torii fabrics with Kuiu versus the same layering system I created at Sitka, we took 4.5 pounds of elastic out of it.
Wow.
Which is a lot if you're climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
And then you add in the packs and the weight savings there, we're able to create a lighter weight performing product line, and dried faster, lasted longer. And so I knew it was on. We launched it.
Andrew, you got a couple questions over there, buddy?
Yeah, I want to pull up this video real quick.
Sure.
So what's going on here?
That's me still trying to develop products, solving a problem I can't find the answer to. We use spotting scopes for hunting. Like we're sitting there with binoculars and we spot something a long ways away, and then we'll pull out a telescope, or we call a spotting scope.
Yeah.
And that animal may be a mile away, and we were going to dial it in to look at how big it is or watch it. Mm-hmm. And so we have to carry a tripod, and then that's a head that the spotting scope attaches to, kind of like what you use for your video cameras.
Yeah.
For us, we're using photographic or video heads. Nothing's been specifically designed around hunting.
Cool.
And so weight isn't that important for videographer or someone who's carrying around day to day. So this is all, this is machined, crafted by a company called 2A Armament out of Boise, Idaho. And they engineered this and machined out of aircraft aluminum. So it weighs 6 ounces versus the other one I'm using, which is 23 ounces. Mm-hmm. And it performs just as well. So this is the first prototype.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean,
it's super cool.
Yeah, because I'm a photographer, so I see that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, what do we got here?
And then I'm working on. They're also working with me on developing a tripod that'll match up with it.
Nice.
Specific around what we need for hunting. Yeah. And how to reduce weight.
Dude, that's awesome.
My goal is to have the world's lightest, best functioning tripod and head setup, because there isn't one solution out there yet that everyone goes, oh, you got to buy this setup. Yeah. Because there isn't. Yeah. And nobody's totally happy with it as hunters. So
if you need
this is just like, stuff I'm always trying to work on, whether it's food, whether it's gear, whether it's materials.
Yeah.
product.
Well, if you need any R&D, me and Casey will go out hunting somewhere, and I'll take pictures or do whatever I got to do.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, if you do pictures, I'll give you a head to test when it's ready.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
That'd be cool, man.
That's the fun stuff to do, is like this, creation around problem solving, and
Yeah.
work on it, and also
You guys
see
have
that product.
any desire to make food?
I do.
Like bars or something
I
like
wanna-
that, or specific foods or
100%.
dehydrated foods or something
I
like
can't. Now that I'm working with Judd, I've realized we don't have the right food.
Right.
Not for what we do.
that? Right.
And
Yeah, I saw the video where you're like, you got bagels and stuff. I'm like, what's with this guy?
yeah.
Like, I can't watch any more of this. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but it's true though, right?
Yeah.
That's before I understood
Right.
really what the body needs.
You got to be jacked and tan.
Yeah, you got to be jacked and tan. But you got to also train your body to burn on fat, and then you need a fat-based diet for what we're doing. And right now, it's really hard to put together.
Right.
Especially when you're buying bars, they're stacked with carbs.
Right. There's some people that make some, interesting things like, I don't know if you ever had fat fudge.
I have. It's terrible.
Yeah, taste-wise, yeah.
Yeah, Rogan gave me one.
Right.
And it was like eating baby poop.
Yeah, a lot of people don't necessarily love the
So what's this?
flavor.
Dude, that's a sign that I'm in the wrong business. So that's a collab we did. Pat put together with Anchorage Brewing. I don't know if you know of Anchorage Brewing, but they were a craft brewer up out of Anchorage. They have a crazy following. And so cool how they do their beer. Like they ferment it in barrels like you would with wine.
Right.
Right, Pat? I mean, it's like wine, but it's beer, and it creates this crazy flavors. And they do these, everything's limited runs because they're brewing it in a keg, like a barrel, right? So they do limited runs, and they came to us because they're big fans of Kuiu, and like, hey, can we do Kuiu beer? That's like, what do you think? I'm like, of course, for sure. And didn't realize the response we get to it. So that sold out, I think, almost immediately, right, Pat? And then we have what we call, that's the Vias double IPA. And then we have the Verde Pilsner that comes out. When's that come out?
It's an IPA also.
Oh, it's an IPA,
Yeah.
not a double. And then my favorite one that's coming out is where are you getting those? This next one that comes out is the Goliath, which you click on that keg that's right there.
Okay.
And that's the last one, which is a double stout.
Hmm.
And it's got a picture of this ram I killed. We call it
You're
Goliath.
going to create the first lightweight beer?
We got comments on that.
Yeah.
Oh, is that ultralight?
Yeah, right.
No, it's heavy.
Right.
But no, that's a really cool product and project, and our customer response has been great. And those collabs are fun.
Right.
And Gabe does an awesome job up there. If you're ever in Anchorage, let me know.
Yeah.
I'll set up a meeting with you. You got to go by and check out what he's doing.
Oh, that would be
It's
cool.
like that niche cool. It's like what you're doing, right?
Right.
Crafty stuff.
So the next thing is you're going to launch some stuff in the fitness category.
We are.
Awesome.
So
What's that look like?
We train to hunt, and I'm super picky on what I wear. Being in the business, I'm always turning everything inside out,
And
looking
being
at tags.
a fashionista.
Yeah, exactly. Being a fashion designer, I train, our customers train, and thought, I can make the best training gear in the world and not have to have retail markup in it and make stuff better than some of the market. I want it. Maybe our customers would. So I built some prototypes, trained in it, took some pictures, put them on Instagram, and you're like, oh man, can I get some? So
Right.
our first product line comes out this fall around the holiday season. We had gym bag and training shorts and shirts and hoodie, zip up hoodies and
Awesome.
gym shirts. And then that'll continue to expand throughout next year. Gym socks. And it's
Cool.
amazing stuff. I'm set you up in it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Stuff dries faster, weighs less. Like our shirts are amazing.
Fantastic.
The brown fabric we're using for our pants and our shirts now.
Yeah, I mean, people need more choices.
They do.
There's not a lot of great.
Not on premium quality.
Right.
I think Lulu does a good job, but it's my wife's brand.
Right.
As far as really good quality performance fabrics,
Right.
I see them buying fabrics from some of our similar suppliers, but I know where Nike buys fabrics, and I know where Adidas, and that's all cut rate,
Mm-hmm.
low quality stuff. And where do you go buy good quality, well made fitness, training gear?
What's next for you guys?
Business wise, just continue to do what we're doing. I mean, you're going to see fitness coming out. We're going into youth because I've got kids.
Right.
And we've had a huge response to initial marketing around that. And then you're going to see from us a wider range of solid colors, lifestyle products, men's accessories, computer bags, computer backpacks, stuff you can use day to day. Our customers want more Kuiu. They want to use more Kuiu in their life because they love the quality of the fabric, the brand, and what we can deliver at the price we do. So our goal is just to continue to do what we're doing and taking care of our customers with new innovations and new technologies, and focusing on and also working with technology and design to reduce weight and increase performance. We got a new product line coming out next year. It's a whole new skin to shelf system that will reset the bar in technical apparel and layering so far above what's ever been created. And everything's from the raw material all the way through to the finished product is all new. All created with working with Torre, working with a really innovative designer. The factory's on new construction technologies, and that launches out next year. And it's, I just saw some of the samples. It's so cool, and it weighs less, performs better, and is gonna really, push us far ahead of any technical apparel company in the world.
Two things. I think you need to have a book, and the second
I
thing,
do.
that'll keep you more busy. And the second thing is, I think you need to have a podcast.
We've talked about it.
Yeah. Why are you talking about it? Just do it. Let's go. Get rolling.
I know. I'm like that too. Like, why don't you do that? It's good
Yeah.
if you don't quit talking about it.
You definitely should.
Thank you.
You have a lot of information to give people, and I'm sure, even if you did some of it a little bit this way, like we're live.
I think it's great live.
If you do it live, you can answer some questions. You can have interaction with your fans as you do with your product launches and stuff.
No, it's great, and I love to share.
Right.
I get people asking me questions about business.
Sharing
or life,
is caring.
It is. I love giving back.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure you do too. I mean, it's very rewarding. Anyone I can help with my story and inspiration is so rewarding.
You have a store?
I do.
Where's the store at?
It's on Dixon. It's in Dixon, right off the freeway, right along I-80. It's 1,000 square feet, stacked with gear and equipment and expertise. It's awesome. That little store does.
Where's the company based out of?
In Dixon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right where our store is. It's in a part of our offices, kind of like what you've got set up here.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
And then, we just expanded and opened up another 5,000 square feet of office space, and we're
one step at a time.
One step at a time, as you know.
Anything else, Andrew?
No, I just want to say I think it's great that you're coming out with solid colors for your gear.
Thank you.
Because like growing up, like all the kids that either had a dad or uncle that was into like hunting and stuff, they always wore like the camo gear to school and stuff. They're always in like,
or they're looking like Elmer Fudd.
Yeah. They're like,
usually
it was always the kids in ag and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I had no, like I couldn't like I had zero in common with them. But the one day I did try on some hunting gear, like a buddy of mine let me borrow it because it was raining and I had nothing. And I was like, dude, this is awesome, but I can't wear my Reebok Classics, a backward snapback, and a fucking duck skin jacket. I'll look like a tool. But with Casey's jacket, he's showing it off, and I'm like, dude, that's a sick jacket.
Our Kuiu jacket that he had?
Yeah,
It
it's like
is.
lightweight, it's warm. So I think that's great, dude. And
it's always been part of the plan.
Yeah.
It's just been getting to ability financially to support bringing in solids. We couldn't keep camo in stock, so it's like, why do solids that sell slower? So now it's part of the overall plan, and you'll see almost everything in solids and a big push into just pure lifestyle plays too.
That's cool. And then keeping everything lightweight. When you started the podcast, you were talking about hunting sheep. Yeah, and I know a lot of people are or they just don't know exactly.
Not the sheep you see when you're driving down the road.
Yeah. So can you explain why hunting sheep is so damn hard?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's truly the ultimate test. If you're a hunter and you want to test yourself, you go sheep hunting. And you go sheep hunting for like a doll sheep or a stone sheep, which is what they call thin horn sheep. There's 4 species in the United States. There's 2 thin horns and 2 big horns. What's unique about hunting like a doll sheep is the place you have to go. Mm-hmm. So we'll hunt up in the Yukon, Alaska, the Northwest Territories. It's very remote. When you're that far north, the weather conditions you're going to see a wide range of weather conditions that can change rapidly. I've been in the situation where it's been 20 below zero. Jeez. I've had it where it's been scorching hot, where we're diving into snowbanks to get out of the heat. Wow. The physical requirements, the training, the preparation, it's the ultimate test. And then sheep, because they're so remote and they live in such unique places, they're very tough to hunt. They have incredible eyesight. So it's like, it's truly the ultimate test.
Yeah.
You're going to go do the most remote, most difficult, most challenging thing in the world as a hunter, and you want to test your skill, you go sheep hunting, and then you try to shoot the oldest ram. They live to be up to 12 years old. I've killed one that's 14 years old. And then you try to find the oldest one on the mountain, which makes it even that much harder. They're that much smarter. And that's testing yourself. It's like anything we do, right? It's like, I want to get to 1,000-pound bench, right?
Right.
That's my mark. Like I want to be a sheep hunter. From the time I was a kid, I want to hunt sheep. And we market to that target market, because if our gear can stand up to what people are going to face in those conditions, those places, then it's going to work great to go deer hunting in my backyard, right?
Right.
It's kind of like the outdoor brands talking about their gears for Everest, but people are wearing it to walk their dog in the park.
Right.
It's cool because of it.
Yeah.
It's aspirational, just like what you've done with focusing on powerlifting.
Absolutely.
And those customers. So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for explaining
Yeah,
that.
it's not helping sheep over the fence.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I don't judge people that do that. But
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah. Hey, it was awesome having you on the show here today. I'm glad you got a chance to check out Super Training.
Yeah,
I'll
me
have to
too.
come over and check out your spot over there. I'd
Love to have you.
Love to have you show me around a little bit. That would be awesome.
Love to show you what we do.
Where can people find you?
You can find us at Kuiu.com. You can always find me on social media, Instagram. I have my own personal Instagram, Jason M. Hairston. Or you can just call the office. I'll answer the phone. You can send me emails, jasonh@Kuiu.com. I've always been available. And,
cool.
Just,
you guys have a YouTube channel as well?
We have a YouTube channel. We have company Instagram, company Facebook, easy to find.
Awesome. Multiply your hustle, multiply your muscle, and may all your shits be tapered. Strength is never weakness, weakness never strength. See you guys later.
Thanks for having me.